Hello. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Hello. And welcome. It's Friday. It's Venus Day. It is Freya's Day. So Friday is named after Freya. So we have that beautiful energy of the goddesses coming in on a Friday. And what does that mean for all of you? So welcome. Just a few people. I'm just going to wait to come in before I get started here. Couple things to note. I mean, yes, Mercury is going to be going retrograde. And what else is going on? Oh, yes, they're making some squares and all of that fun stuff. So, okay, let me just get started. As I'm going to be, what else? What's going on? I got my notes here. So this is where, the moon in Capricorn, I think that's going to be a big one for us right now, because the moon's going to meet up with Pluto. And when the moon meets up with Pluto tomorrow and Mercury goes retrograde, that's the Tower card. That's when things really start to hit the fan and things get a little bit crazy and nutty. And the moon is answering to Saturn, who is retrograde. So we have that going on. Plus we have Venus. So Venus is gone rogue. Mercury and Mars have gone rogue. So we have these rogue planets. So anything can happen. So it can be, a lot of things can go crazy. As I was listening to to just different shit that's going on in our world, and some of the things that I understand it's not everybody's thing to, maybe do the astrology, or, they listen to me and get a little bit of tidbit and then go on their day, or not listen to the news. But something, I just, people got to just, I don't know, wake up, understand that there's some crazy shit going on. And it's like, not everybody wants, I guess, turn on the, I got this from, I can't remember who said it, but turn on the news every 2 weeks and do whatever it says. It's like, that's the way people are. It's like, oh, this is what's going on. This is what's being said. Well, I guess I'm going to do that. That's okay. Just, I'm okay. There's so much going on. Like, first of all, the idea, a couple things, and this goes along with that square, that Mercury squaring Neptune, and that energy with Mercury squaring Neptune, of coming into the awareness, coming into of saying, hey, what's going on, and maybe questioning and reading. And okay, the US embassies around the world have an option, or they gave them an option to begin to fly the Black Lives Matter flag. Now, I encourage everybody to go onto their page and read what their mandate is. Okay, this has nothing to do with racism. This has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with what their ideology is and what they stand for. They are Marxist, people. The Black Lives Matter organization is Marxist. The raising of the fist like this is a Marxist symbol. I mean, when they swear people in communist China, they go like this. Like, this is the Marxist. So just, I mean, this is where I find people are being led astray, and they're not. Education is the key. Education is the key. North Node, Gemini, ask questions, get involved with what is going on. Not blindly do something just because we want to have stampede, or just because this is what so-and-so, our the people we vote in, which are a bunch of sometimes dickheads, have said. And when I look at the energy, this is like, yeah, I mean, it's the seduction And that's where that energy is coming in, because Mercury is on the Palladians, the seven sisters. Seven sisters can be very, it is the temptation, it is to be seduced. So what are you being seduced by? That seduction that's coming in, because seduction isn't always sexual. Seduction can be in many ways. That, ooh, I got to buy that dress, or ooh, I got to have those cards, or look at all the crystals I can buy. Seduction. Ooh, we could go to Stampede if I do this. Right now, the state of California is putting money aside to give people to get the jab as an incentive. So money, like you're getting incentives to do something. Hearings are being held right now about this, and they're asking, has this been done animal tested? And they said no. But when we started doing the fucking animal tested, the animals were dying, so we stopped. So now let's give it to our 12-year-old children. This is where the illusions come in. This is that square. This is where you also have the square with your Uranus and Saturn. It is the awakening, not the wokening. It's an awakening. That means that you're enlightened. That means that you are opening your eyes to the world around you and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a better way. Maybe we need to see people as people, not as white, black, yellow, purple, green. Maybe we need to look at, what is better for our health? What's a better way to keep ourselves healthy? This is, I mean, and I can feel it. My Scorpio's rising. I can feel it because I'm getting where my voice has to come out. It is that Mercury energy of all the downloads that are coming down at once right now. And they're showing me that there's a huge, huge energy shaking up. And the only thing, it's like, especially with that square, that Saturn and Uranus square, it's like, it's a push, but you look at it, this way. Uranus loves change. What is Taurus? Like, he doesn't like change. So you got a planet in a sign that doesn't like change, that wants change. So there's a push, like the plates of the earth being pushed to a point. In comes Saturn. Now, Saturn may have been the old ruler of Aquarius, but I actually really feel that when Uranus came along, he said, yeah, boy, you can have this shit, because I don't want to be, I like to have some structure in my life. I want to have some order in my life. I don't want to be all over the place. I want to be where I can put my feet on the ground. I know my direction, and this is where I need to go. So Saturn wants that structure. Being in an Aquarius, there's structure, but not in a way that he wants the structure to be. And he's with Uranus, who wants to have the change in the structure, wants to have the change in what's going on. But Saturn also comes in, because the thing about Aquarius, they want to know why. They want to know the facts. They want to know if you ask them to do something. So if you're an Aquarius rising, or you have an Aquarius moon, or you got Aquarius sun, Aquarius in your chart, which we all do. But if there's a place that is really highlighted in your chart, you're going to find that you want to be given options. You want to be given an understanding why we're doing a certain thing. We're not just going to do it just because. There is an information that we want. Air signs want information. They are the questioners, right? And they want that. They want their questions answered. But when their questions aren't being answered, when they're being shut down, diverted, pushed down, pushed away, air comes back in a very strong way. Air comes back in a very unique. Air can come in different ways, just like water, right? Water can seep in different ways. Air can come in. You might think all your windows are shut, and then you get, ooh, it's a cold chill because there's a crack or there's something there. So air is going to come in because it wants to know. It wants to get the information. And right now the information isn't there. And Uranus is saying, yeah, but we want to change. We want to bring it in. And there's Taurus saying, maybe we'll think about it maybe tomorrow. But in comes Neptune, which is water, which is ether. Mercury comes in, squaring it and saying, and when there's a square, there's pressure. It gets released. There's a midpoint at 45 degrees. Once they get past the 90 degrees, they really don't have an association to each other. But when it's at 90 degrees, it's either we're going to work together to get it done, or we're going to make a tension. We're going to make something that it's going to break. And a lot of people think, maybe we should have a break. But neither way, neither side will win. And this is where education comes in. Understanding, doing some research before it's like Black Lives Matter. Cool. Right on. Yeah, I get it. Now, go read the fucking doctrines. Go read their books of what they're saying. They want to get rid of the family. The nucleus family. They want to get rid of so many things. That's what they want to do. And they want to break down communities. They want to break down institutions so they can have theirs. So this is where it's coming in, where it's like, okay, well, maybe that's not what I want. I love the idea of this part of it, but look at everything else that it's joined to. This is a time of us coming to a higher education, coming to a higher point of in our evolution of transformation and change. Many of us have been such drones for so many years. This is confusing. This is overwhelming. What do you mean I question my government? What do you mean I question the news? What do you mean I question all of this? We've never questioned it. We just went along with it because they've always been right. They've always kept care of us. When has the news ever lied to us? So this is where this energy, with the squares, with coming in with the Pleiadians and looking at what is that seduction that's happening in our world today and in our own individual selves. And plus it's Venus Day. I mean, Venus is coming up to that, and it's coming up to about looking at the accountability. I mean, she's feeling very wounded, and I think that's where a lot of people are within the feminine energy. We're feeling wounded. I mean, she was doing some quintiles to Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. He's in Aries right now. And so he's, it's kind of, last time he was in there, it was like in the 70s. So it was kind of wonky and crazy. New ideas were coming through. Some of them weren't always great when it came to fashion and cars. But this is where it's like, okay, I'm feeling really hurt. I'm feeling very overwhelmed with all of this. And then she's going to sextile Eris. That's when she's probably going to chop somebody's head off. So that's where you're going to see things are going to come volatile. And maybe even in your own life. Because it's like, it's about trust and verifying. Verifying the information that's coming to you. Listen to it. Yes. Listen to it and then get the facts. Who is it? Caitlyn Jenner, who's running for governor of California. I mean, he's coming out. I'd have to investigate it more to find out more of this information. My gut instinct makes it sound like, okay, this sounds like a bunch of craziness. But he says, boys who start change early can compete in girls' sports. Okay, well, I'd have to investigate that a little bit more. But that's something that he wants to promote is early sex changes for kids. I got to look into that a little bit more. I got to have a little bit more understanding, and that's going to be part of my investigation, is having more of an understanding of that because I have my point of view of it. And it's not in alignment with a lot of people. I don't think anybody should have a sex change till they're the ages between 21 and 25. Why? Your brain's not even formulated at the age of 12, 15, 16. 15, you're having an opposition to Saturn. That means you're rebelling against everything in the system. You're rebelling against mom. You're rebelling against dad. You're rebelling against the church, the school. Everything is fucking stupid. This is crazy. And so there is that rebellious type of energy that is there. So it's not really a good time to make sort of rash decisions that are lifelong in your development. Um, so this is partially education, right? It is a crazy energy out there right now, and there is some fucked up stuff that's coming in. They're petitioning right now for the governments to come out with more information on the Wuhan Labs. Why don't they want to come out with that information? Well, probably because they're the ones who actually paid for the fucking things and signed for it. For the experiments to happen in these labs. Why in Wuhan? Because no one's going to go there and check. And what are the government regulations for it? Nil and none. Because the consideration for human rights is not exactly a number one thing on the Chinese regime, for their government. Like, really? So what a better place to do experiments? What a better place to hide things? So we are finding that more is going to come out. This eclipse, I mean, we're still in eclipse season. This eclipse is going to bring in a lot more of the rumblings, especially of things that have been happening in around the North Pacific and in that area, and what things, because that it hit that area. So things are going to be activated. So that's in around Japan and Taiwan and into China. And more is going to be revealed, and the West Coast. So I found that interesting. And this is one of the things I found very interesting, because the West Coast was coming up last year of different, where California and Portland and Washington were making an act together. And for things that, if what's happening in the United States. And that's because there's a lot of things to do with Nike. There's a lot to do with the Silicon Valley that's there. We got Apple, we got Microsoft in that there. Microsoft is in Washington. So we have a lot of, money that is there. Something is going to be hitting there. Who controls a lot of that money? Who controls things and investment? And where do they get their stuff from? China. So there's something that's going to be revealed within all of that and the tech system, and more about the technology that's coming forward. And this is where it's like, okay, how far advanced do we want to go? How far do we want to go? More. This is more of what we are being presented to in this world and in our earth walk. So this is what we need to start looking at for self. One is grounding. Making sure you are watching a sunrise, a sunset, connecting with as the moon. Where is the moon today? What sign is the moon in today? Right? This is about connecting. That keeps us grounded. That keeps us in the present day. I watched a reading about Bill Gates coming out with some things. Yeah. Well, a couple things with Bill Gates. I mean, with the Epstein thing, because he wanted to win the not the Pulitzer Prize, but he wanted to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And somehow Epstein has huge connections with people who are on the board and one of the big founders for the Nobel Peace Prize, and where the money comes from. Very, very interesting. Plus, Bill Gates also wanted to work with China when it comes to nuclear energy, and working with nuclear energy and having that set up. And he was getting factories set up in China. And then there's something came with the trade, something to do with the trade agreement when Trump came in and he was like, no, we want things happening in America, not always sending things over to China. And so that kind of got kiboshed. But he had some really good ideas. I mean, the thing is with Bill Gates, he's so egotistical and ego-based, brilliant. But when somebody's so brilliant, they're out of touch with reality. If you know anybody who's like really on that genius level, because that's borderline of psychosis and schizophrenia and other mental disorders, right? So it's very hard to be in this world, to deal with this, with people. I really believe that they're more of an ET energy, some kind of gray matter energy. But because he can't deal with this world. Like he can't sit down and just have a regular conversation for very long with people, because that's just not, he feels it's beneath him. So he doesn't, that's why his wife did a lot of the things, if it came out talking about the foundation and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I mean, he's an interesting person. You should read the article of JFK Jr. published in the George magazine about Bill Gates. I will read that. That would be very, in the George magazine. I'm going to do that, Raylene. Thank you. I got to show you my mug. This is, I know you guys have seen this mug before, but this is, my broomstick runs on coffee. That's my mug today. Just listening to some of the news, even what our prime minister said about Chinese people, of just being rude and racist about it. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. 1996, 97. I'll write that down. A lot came out about him, but a lot of people weren't listening because, and that's just, that he just, that was 1997. So 1997, fun fact here, Bill Gates talked at the University of Toronto. It was in 96. He was doing a round of talks at that time and talking about Microsoft. And he was talking about everybody is going to be having a cell phone, and you're going to find everybody carrying a laptop. He goes, when I come back here and do this in 10 years or something like that, or less, you're going to find that everybody's going to have a laptop or a PC on their lap. And people thought he was crazy. So he did. He was also part of a about a pandemic 5 years ago. So predicting a pandemic 5 years ago. Why would he have known? I mean, I don't think he's big into astrology and watching the astrology. We kind of knew. So back 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah. So back in 2016, 2017, I was saying that everything had to go online because there's something coming in, not sure what it is. Right. And it wasn't until, things you started to look more into when Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter were all in Capricorn. Then we knew, like, just seeing that and the eclipses that were coming around at Christmas time, there's some crazy shit that was going to hit the fan. So we knew things were going to start hitting the fan. And as astrologers, and not all astrologers, and this is the other thing, not all astrologers are going to talk about this because they want to. Me, I'm not a big wig astrologer, so I'm not one of the, the ones that are making $500,000 a year doing astrology. That's God. One day I will be. And talking about population controls in the 90s. Yes, they were talking about, and they were also talking about that in the 1970s. Just hang on. I'm online. Okay, bye. Make sure Eddie doesn't eat his wings. So otherwise I'm going to have to order more wings. So So that's interesting because there was a studies starting to come back in 1974, 75 about population control and how to begin to control population. Now, 20 years ago, we started the flu vaccine and started doing the flu vaccinations. And that was by some biologists in that were really against it because a lot of people got sick from it. There was a lot of side effects from it. But their idea was we're going to get people used to getting vaccinated. It's an ongoing thing. Got to get vaccinated, got to get grandma vaccinated, got to get this person vaccinated for the flu vaccine. I've never been vaccinated for the flu vaccine. And I think my last time I ever got a shot for anything was tetanus, and that was like a long time ago. But otherwise, I've never been fully vaccinated. So, at all. So that's little fun tidbit. And it's not that it's just, there's a book and it's called The Four Stages. And I really recommend people to get to go and look at it. And it talks about history. Now, it has nothing to do with astrology. It has to do with history and the cycles of history that are between 80 and 90 years and how those cycles work, and goes through all the different cycles and how long each cycle is. And it's divided up into 4 sort of decades and what the 4 different decades were. And so it talks about that. And that is a very good book to really look at and read and sort of educate, look at what it has to say, because we are in the last ending of this history chunk. And it's and it kind of goes along with all of the astrology and the energies and that are going on right now, that we're in the energies of crisis. So in crisis brings change, brings new ideas, ratifications, and that's what we're in. We're in this energy of ratification and change, and we're seeing it with things from the woke society, he, she, they, that, who do you identify with? And I think that's, again, you get into the psychology, you're going to get a lot of, debate on that too, because because of the way the brain works, how does that interfere with development of the brain and identification of self-esteem? Later on, how does that relate to the self-esteem of somebody else? Because we all want to create our own unique individualism. And how is that when that is within the collective consciousness? So we have all of that. The thing about the woke society, which is really funny, because, they ask you, well, what's so great about being white? They have all of these things, being on time, being productive. Now, this is all put out there by that. This is just not me. But that's that part too. Because so what is that going to bring? Right? This is where this change. This is why awareness. People aren't, watching or being aware. It's like, segregation is a good thing. That's what's being promoted right now through the woke society. Segregation is a good thing. You should take away, if you've worked hard for something, let's take it away, especially if you're white. It's part of what's being told and taught right now, right? Because you don't deserve it because some asshole way back when decided to own slaves. So this is the energy that we're in, and it's fucked up, crazy, all over the place, sending us in many different directions, and it's really creating a lot of animosity. It's creating where we are coming into segregation, and that's one of the things I've said. I've been saying that. I keep on seeing segregation. Why? Because who is vaccinated, who isn't vaccinated? Segregation. Who believes in Black Lives Matter? Who doesn't believe in Black Lives Matter? Who is woke? Who is not woke? All of that is segregation. Separating people. Let's separate people. Mentioned it last year. I said there's going to be a separation. What side do you want to be on? You can't be in the middle anymore. There is no middle ground. It's, if you're going to hold that middle ground, it's going to be extremely difficult. So this is where it's coming in to ground, finding, looking at the sunrise, connecting with the earth itself is going to be very important. Being in the present time is going to be very important. Trusting your gut, which is a really big one for people, because we haven't been able to trust our gut since the Industrial Revolution, which was 200 and some odd years ago that it started. Has to do with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, has to do with a lot with the Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn of last year, of the change that's coming in, and us ending the Piscean age. Why is the Piscean age ending? Is that, and that anything that ends is chaos and crisis. So we're ending a huge crisis time. Crisis right down to religion. Religions are changing. Not saying they're going to go away, but they are definitely changing. Because what are you identifying with? A lot of times you identified, I'm a Roman Catholic, I'm an Irish Catholic, or I'm an Italian Catholic. There was identification of, or I'm a South, I'm a Baptist, I'm from the South, or I'm a, from the First Assembly Baptist. So you had those identifications. People aren't using those as identifications anymore. They're changing. So our ideologies are changing. The way that we do things, speak to people, having to watch what we have to say to people. For years, they were coming in that we had to be politically correct. Fuck politically correct now. Some people call when it comes to First Nations. I have clients. I'm an Indian. Okay. I'm a Native. Okay. I'm a First Nations. Okay. What's the right way of saying it? My husband doesn't identify as an African American. He's Black. He's from the Caribbean. That's how he identifies him. If somebody calls him an African American, he's like, well, one, I'm living in Canada, and where in Africa? Like, a lot of his can go back to Egypt. So this is where, I don't know, I'm going on tangents here. This is where things are just crazy. This is where the energies are coming in, and people are being in that seduction with the Palladians is coming in, and with Neptune and lovely Gemini, or Mercury there, is causing a lot of us to start looking at things more clearly and start working with what we want to go towards. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy. There's going to be a lot of walls, but I believe that it's through nurturing yourself and nurturing the mother. So there's a lot to do with nurturing and getting into finding the people that that you feel close to, finding people that you are feeling that you are going to get the love, that you are going to get that hug from, that nurture. So because the mother energy comes through, and especially with Neptune to Cyrus, it's like, okay, this is about nurturing. This is about, okay, what else? What other things can be opened up here with all of this? Very stressful. There's a lot of stress. A lot of people are going to be stressed out. Pulled out the Nine of Swords today as the overall energy of the day. Just looking over there at my notes. So it's just, I don't know. I want to leave on a happy note here. So I don't want to leave on a negative note, but my number one thing is awakening to knowledge, awakening to understanding. There was a priest, here we're going back, in the foundation of the church, when the church was being founded. And he still continued to practice, but he didn't believe in a lot of the indoctrination that was coming down about the formation of Christianity. Christianity was actually, had many different segregations, had many different it wasn't just like one sort of basis of a church. And he wanted to be writing their own information, like writing about the church, like the New Testament and stuff, and writing more about information into the New Testament. But with the old with a lot of the fathers at the time said, no, we got to keep the Old Testament. We can't lose that, because we need that somehow as, I guess, proof about Jesus or whatever. We still need that. But many priests were coming around and saying that we want to bring this in as a living God, as a God that is around us, because that's what he was. And we want to bring in this energy of creating a oneness with God. And they didn't want that. They didn't want it. Why? Because then they would lose control. Because why would you want to have a God that just wants love and wants to create that he's with us and wants to build harmony and peace? It doesn't make any sense, because then we can't control the people. So in order to control the people, the best way to control any population is through fear and intimidation. And that's what we're being done. And it's not coming now down through the church. It's coming through medical science. That's where the new indoctrination is coming in, and the new seduction is coming forth. It's coming through that, because that's where it has to be true, because it's science. But science always changes. Science is not constant. There's always a change when it comes to science. The truth is, the one truth is the truth of the word, is the truth of you as your light being, the truth of your divine and your divinity and your oneness of knowing that you are the God and the goddess, that you do have that power within you to make the changes that you need to in your life, and to make the sound decisions that you know are true to you through proper education and understanding what the truth of the word is. So on that note, I'm going to send you out with so much love. Yes, the energy's crazy. I think I've written out a few things already today on speak your piece, put it on a record, and you told them so. I know that's the moon in Capricorn in conjunct with the sun in Gemini, both answering to out of bounds planets. So Gemini sun tries to brush off the conflict, but the moon says you better pay attention. That's me. I'm being the moon. You better pay fucking attention. I also put big, it's not you, it's me energy. Be gentle with those you are in relationship with. Everybody's feeling sensitive. Yeah, they are. Everybody's feeling this, and you're going to find with Venus sextiling Eris this afternoon, off with the heads, because Eris is not exactly a kind, loving goddess. She's a goddess of revenge, and so she wants things. Plus, we also have the energy of Medusa with Algol coming in too. So we have the Medusa energy coming in. So there's this sinister energy that's there. So we got to stay grounded. Look at our wounds. If you need a reading, if you want to get a reading on your natal chart, get a hold of me. I'm booking into June, which is that fucking next week. So booking into June, starting if you're wanting to learn more about planetary mapping and working with the planets, the course starts on Sunday. So, and lots of room for you. Sending you out so much love. Thank you very much for being a part of my day, a part of my world. And may the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you. in all that you say and all that you be and all that you do. Blessed be everybody. Raylene, thank you for that information. I'm going to look that up right away, and have a blessed one, everyone. Bye-bye.